This rising, we are going back into a new earth, wrapping up how the ego lives through comparison and going into Chapter 5, the pain body. The ego, it is hungry, not for food, not for love, but for mirrors. It whispers, "Who am I, if not what they see?" It stretches its hands towards applause, towards likes, towards sideways glances in crowded rooms. It grows fat on approval, but if it can't get sweet honey, it will lick salt from its wounds. Because ego doesn't care if the light is warm or harsh, so long as it shines on me. Have you felt it? The tightening in the chest when someone else succeeds. That hollow echo when nobody notices your good work. That little ache when you compare your reflection to the highlight reel of another's life. Yes, that's the ego. Scratching at the glass, saying, "Feed me, Seymour, feed me." Define me, Seymour, define me. Tell me who I am. But listen closely. There is another voice. Quieter. Wiser. It does not shout. It simply is. It says, "You were enough before the applause. You were whole before the attention. You are the presence behind the performance. The stillness beneath the storm." True self-worth is not borrowed from their eyes. It is rooted like a tree that does not measure itself by the passing of birds or the gossip carried on the wind. So here's the invitation, this rising energy. Notice. Notice when you reach for comparison, when you trade your peace for perception. This is where I made it a point to change my word from perception to perspective. Because sometimes perceptions block our pathway to that peace of mind. But new perspectives can actually contribute to a more broad world view and also contribute to that peace of mind. Going on into the midday, we're being guided to catch that ego in its hunger, not to fight it, not to shame it, but to see it, recognize it, know it isn't you. Because awareness is freedom. Awareness is the end of that ridiculous search. Awareness is the doorway back to being. And in that being, you or I are more than a reflection. You or I are more than attention. We are presence itself. While in the midday, bringing in the energy of the pain body and the awareness of it. It cannot tolerate the light of awareness. The pain body wants to survive, just like every other entity in existence. And it can only survive if it gets you to consciously identify with it. It can then rise up, take you over, and become you. It needs your unconsciousness. It cannot tolerate the light of awareness. The pain body. There is a shadow. That lives in the basement of your being. A tenant you did not invite, but one that knows your name, and no, his name is not Carl. Carl in a basement, watching Yogi do burpees. Yeah, I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself. Anyways, it's ancient. It's hungry. It feeds not on bread, but on anger, on sorrow, on the salt of uncried tears. Eckhart calls it the pain body, a ghost of all the hurts you thought were buried. But baby grief has a photographic memory, and rage has roots, and it likes to whisper in your ear, feel me, wear me, I am you. When you believe it, you slam the door too hard. You snap at the ones you love. You drown in sadness afterwards. Yes, I'm shining a bit more light on my own story. As an example, there isn't anyone around to try to squash your plans when they can see you living through the pain body, allowing it to wear you. That sadness isn't even yours alone. So when you're doing great, that's when that random stinker just shows up. That sadness isn't yours alone, but the chorus of generations singing through your blood. But here's the truth, and it's the kind of truth that burns and heals at the same time. Much like when Holy Spirit calls you a doormat directly. That happened to me recently, when my so-called loved ones were encouraging me to resort to old versions of myself that even their demons can no longer call out. But what even are those? Oh yeah, pain body. What are they? Pain body. And it cannot stand living in the light. It cannot stand in the raw brightness of awareness. When you see it, really see it. Not as you, but as a visitor. Its grip loosens. Imagine it. The rage that once ruled your tongue, going on into the evening, now dissolves like mist at sunset. But returns at dawn. But it's not the sorrow that curled you inward, unraveling thread by thread any longer. It is awareness. That rage dissolves. Not because you fought it, but because you saw it, because you remembered. I am the witness, not the wound. This is the alchemy. Not to destroy the pain body, but to stop feeding it. To breathe deeper where it burns. To remain present where it prowls. And in that moment, you are no longer its host. You are light, and it is only shadow. Going into page 138 of A New Earth, Chapter 5, The Pain Body. I'm just going to read a couple of highlighted areas. And then we are going to draw this to a close. We are a species that has lost its way. Everything natural, every flower or tree, and every animal have important lessons to teach us. If we would only stop, look, and listen. And you see, collective, I knew this. This is part of the reason why majority of my oracle decks involve nature in some kind of way. I already knew this. But somehow, that amnesia crept in. Our duck's lesson is this: flap your wings, which translates as let go of the story and return to the only place of power, the present moment. Going into page 140. As in the case of the monk who carried the burden of his resentment for 5 hours by feeding it with his thoughts. Most people carry a large amount of unnecessary baggage. But just know, as you draw this day to a close, beloveds, both mental and emotional, throughout their lives, they limit themselves through grievances, regrets, hostility, and guilt. Their emotional thinking has become their self, and so they hang on to the old emotion because it strengthens their identity. Because of the human tendency to perpetuate old emotion, almost everyone carries in his or her energy field an accumulation of old emotional pain, which I call the pain body. Just know, this is what I'm getting to. I saw it coming, beloveds, okay? This is not me speaking my own words to draw this to a close. I am reading from A New Earth. However, it is speaking to me in such a way that the lessons of this book have become an official part of this channel, much like our roaring mascot, the loyal, faithful, firm, but gentle, powerful, present lion. We can, however, stop adding to the pain body that we already have. We can learn to break the habit of accumulating and perpetuating old emotions. Eckhart is using a duck as a metaphor. So we're just going to go with it and this analogy of flapping our wings. We can learn to break the habit of accumulating and perpetuating old emotion by flapping our wings, metaphorically speaking, and refrain from mentally dwelling on the past. Regardless of whether something happened yesterday or 30 years ago. We can learn not to keep situations or events alive in our minds, but to return our attention continuously to the pristine, timeless, present moment, rather than be caught up in mental movie making. Our very presence then becomes our identity, rather than our thoughts and emotions. Nothing ever happened in the past that can prevent you from being present now. This is from me as well, guys, all right? And if the past cannot prevent you from being present now, what power does it have? The next time we revisit this book, we'll be going into the next section of this chapter titled Individual and Collective. And that's where it starts to get real juicy. I want to thank you so very much for listening. And if you made it this far, you are a rock star. Multiversal soul. Familia. With much gratitude and appreciation. From my heart to yours brightest of blessings.